The heart monitor's steady beeping was the only sound in my hospital room when I saw the bank alert on my phone. Account balance, $347.23. I stared at the screen, certain it was a mistake. Just 3 days ago, before the emergency surgery, that account held $200,000, my entire life savings, my retirement fund, money I'd scraped together working double shifts as a nurse for 25 years. My hands trembled as I called the bank, my voice barely a whisper. There must be an error. I had $200,000 in my savings account. I'm sorry, Mrs. Patterson, but I show multiple wire transfers initiated yesterday, all authorized by someone with access to your accounts. The room started spinning. Only one person had that access. Only one person I trusted with my financial information when I'd gotten sick 6 months ago and needed help managing bills. My daughter, Jessica. I'm Josephine Patterson, 52 years old, single mother who raised Jessica by myself after her father walked out when she was 3. I worked my way through nursing school while changing diapers, sacrificed vacations, and new clothes to give her everything she needed. I thought I'd raised her right. I was wrong. When I'd had my heart attack 3 days earlier, Jessica was the first person I called. She rushed to the hospital, tears streaming down her face, promising she'd take care of everything while I recovered. I'd felt so grateful to have such a caring daughter. Now, lying in that hospital bed with IVs in my arms and a fresh surgical scar across my chest, I realized I'd been played by my own flesh and blood. The bank representative continued explaining the transfers. The funds were moved to 3 different accounts. One appears to be for a luxury car purchase, another to a vacation rental company in Bali, and the third to what looks like a real estate investment. My daughter had stolen my life savings while I was fighting for my life. But here's what Jessica didn't know about her old mom. I didn't get to where I am by being weak. 25 years in emergency nursing teaches you how to stay calm under pressure and how to fight back when someone tries to destroy you. I hung up with the bank and immediately called them back. I need to report unauthorized transactions and freeze any accounts that Jessica Patterson has access to. She's committed identity theft and fraud. Within an hour, I'd frozen her checking account, her savings account, and the credit cards I'd co-signed for when she was building credit in college. I'd also filed a police report and contacted a lawyer. The next call I made was to Jessica herself. "Hi, Mom," she answered cheerfully, probably thinking I was too drugged up on pain medication to notice my missing money. "How are you feeling today?" "I'm feeling like I raised a thief," I said calmly. "Want to explain why you stole $200,000 from me while I was unconscious?" The silence on the other end lasted so long I thought she'd hung up. "Mom, I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't. Just don't. I've already filed a police report. Your accounts are frozen. And unless you can miraculously return every penny by the end of the week, you're going to learn exactly how badly you messed with the wrong woman." I could hear her starting to cry. "Mom, please, I can explain. You have until Friday to figure out how to fix this, Jessica. Because if you don't, I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of person you really are. Your job, your friends, your boyfriend, they're all going to learn that you're a thief who steals from sick, elderly women." I hung up and lay back against my pillows, my heart racing but my mind crystal clear. My daughter thought she could take advantage of me at my weakest moment. She was about to discover that she'd just declared war on someone who had nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. The revenge I had planned would make her wish she'd never been born. By Thursday morning, I was discharged from the hospital with strict orders to rest and recover. Instead, I spent the day turning into a detective, and what I discovered about my daughter made my blood run cold. It started with a simple Google search of Jessica's name. What I found wasn't the struggling young woman I thought I knew. It was someone living a completely fabricated life. Her Instagram account showed designer handbags I'd never seen, expensive restaurant meals, and photos from a luxury apartment that definitely wasn't the modest place she'd told me she was renting. The timestamp on these photos? They went back months, long before she'd stolen my money. Then I found her LinkedIn profile. According to this, she worked as a marketing executive at a prestigious firm downtown. But when I called her supposed workplace pretending to be a client, they'd never heard of Jessica Patterson. My hands shook as I scrolled through more evidence of her deception. Vacation photos from Paris, a trip she claimed she'd never taken. Pictures with friends at expensive clubs, wearing jewelry that cost more than I made in a month. And then I saw it, a photo from 2 weeks ago showing her test driving a BMW, captioned, "Finally upgrading my ride." She'd been planning this theft for months. The doorbell rang, interrupting my investigation. Through the peephole, I saw Jessica standing on my porch, her face red and puffy from crying. She was holding a small envelope. "Mom, please," she said when I opened the door. "I brought you some money. It's not all of it, but it's a start." I'd found records of the real estate investment she'd made with part of my money. It wasn't an investment at all. It was a down payment on a condo she'd bought under a fake business name, planning to flip it for profit. The property was worth at least $300,000. My daughter hadn't just stolen my money. She'd used it to try to become rich. But there was something else, something that made my stomach turn. In her email account, yes, I still had access from when I'd helped her set up her computer last year, I found conversations with a lawyer about having me declared mentally incompetent. Jessica hadn't just planned to steal my money. She'd been planning to steal my life. The emails were from 3 months ago, right after I'd had some minor heart palpitations and mentioned feeling overwhelmed. She'd been researching how to get power of attorney over my finances and medical decisions, painting me as an elderly woman in declining mental health. I printed every email, every bank statement, every piece of evidence I'd collected. Then I made a call to my lawyer. "Richard, it's Josephine Patterson. I need you to help me file charges against my daughter for elder abuse, financial exploitation, and fraud. And I need you to help me take back something that belongs to me." When I hung up, I looked at the clock. Jessica had 18 hours to come up with $50,000. But even if she did, it was far too late to stop what was coming next. 6 p.m. came and went.
No, Jessica.
No $50,000. No phone call. At 6:15, my phone buzzed with a text message. "Mom, I need more time. Please don't do anything rash. I love you." I screenshot the message and added it to my evidence folder. Then I picked up my phone and made the first call. "Hello, Midwest Insurance Group? This is Josephine Patterson. I'd like to speak to your HR department about one of your employees, Jessica Patterson." 20 minutes later, Jessica no longer had a job. They were surprisingly understanding when I explained that my daughter had been using their company's name to commit fraud, claiming to be an executive when she was actually a receptionist who'd been stealing small amounts from petty cash. The second call was to Marcus Whitfield. I'd done my research on Jessica's boyfriend. 28 years old, trust fund baby, worked at his father's investment firm more as a hobby than necessity. His social media showed him as someone who valued honesty and authenticity above all else.
Perfect.
"Mr. Whitfield, this is Josephine Patterson, Jessica's mother. I think we need to talk." We met at a coffee shop downtown an hour later. Marcus was exactly what I'd expected, well-dressed, polite, and completely blindsided by what I was about to tell him. "I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this," I said, sliding a folder across the table, "but Jessica has been lying to you about everything." I watched his face change as he looked through the evidence. The fake job, the real apartment versus the luxury one she'd claimed, the financial records showing she was broke, and finally, the bank statements proving she'd stolen $200,000 from her hospitalized mother. "This can't be right," he whispered, but his voice lacked conviction. "Marcus, she used my money I saved working as a nurse for 25 years, to impress you and your friends. She bought designer clothes, expensive jewelry, and that BMW to make you think she was wealthy. She's been playing a character designed specifically to make you fall in love with her." He was quiet for a long time, staring at the documents. "She told me her mother was well off, that you were supporting her while she built her marketing career. I'm a single mother who worked double shifts to put her through college. The only thing well off about me was the retirement fund she stole while I was having heart surgery." Marcus closed the folder and looked at me with something that might have been respect. "What do you want me to do?"
Nothing.
"Just know the truth." What you do with it is up to you. As I walked back to my car, my phone rang. Jessica. Mom, what did you do? Her voice was hysteric. Marcus won't answer my calls, and my boss fired me. You're ruining my life. No, Jessica. I'm revealing your life. There's a difference. Please, Mom, I'll get you the money somehow. Just stop this. It's too late for that. But don't worry, I'm just getting started. The next morning, I drove to the address I'd found for the condo Jessica had bought with my money. It was in an upscale development, exactly the kind of place she'd always dreamed of living. I walked into the real estate office next door. Hi, I'm Josephine Patterson. I believe there's been some fraudulent activity regarding a property purchase in this development, and I need to speak to someone about recovering assets that were bought with stolen money. By noon, Jessica's investment property was tied up in legal proceedings. The down payment she'd made, $60,000 of my dollars, was frozen pending the outcome of the fraud investigation. But I wasn't done. I'd saved the most devastating move for last. You see, Jessica had always been proud of her social media presence. She had thousands of followers who looked up to her success story, the girl who'd supposedly built a glamorous life through hard work and determination. I created my own social media account, Josephine Patterson, A Mother's Truth. My first post was simple, a photo of me in my hospital bed, tubes and wires everywhere, with a caption, "While I was fighting for my life after emergency heart surgery, my daughter Jessica Patterson stole $200,000 from my life savings. Here's the proof." I posted bank statements, with account numbers redacted, screenshots of Jessica's fake lifestyle posts, and copies of the emails where she tried to have me declared incompetent. I tagged every friend I could find in her photos, every restaurant she'd claimed to frequent, every expensive store where she'd shopped with my money. Within 3 hours, my post had been shared over 1,000 times. Jessica's carefully constructed image was crumbling in real time. My phone rang at 2 p.m. Jessica was sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. Mom, please take it down.
Please.
Everyone I know has seen it. My friends, my coworkers, people from college. You've destroyed everything. Good, I said calmly. Now you know how it feels to lose everything while you're helpless to stop it. I'll give you back every penny. I promise. Jessica, you spent most of my money on things you can't return and experiences you can't undo. But here's what you're going to do if you want me to consider not pressing charges. I could hear her holding her breath. You're going to sell that BMW and give me every penny. You're going to move out of that expensive apartment and find somewhere you can actually afford. You're going to get a real job and set up a payment plan to return what you can. And most importantly, you're going to publicly admit what you did. What do you mean, publicly admit? You're going to make your own social media post, Jessica. You're going to tell the truth about who you really are, what you did to me, and how you've been lying to everyone for months. You're going to apologize publicly, and you're going to commit to making this right. The silence stretched so long, I thought she'd hung up. And if I don't, she finally whispered. Then I press charges for elder abuse, file a civil lawsuit for the full amount plus damages, and make sure every employer in this city knows exactly what kind of person you are. Your choice. I hung up and sat back in my chair. For the first time in a week, I felt like I could breathe properly. My daughter had tried to destroy me when I was at my weakest. Now she was about to learn that sometimes the people you underestimate are the ones who fight back the hardest. 3 days passed in silence. Then, at 7 a.m. on Wednesday morning, Jessica posted her confession. I was drinking my coffee when the notification popped up on my phone. Her post had already been shared hundreds of times. My name is Jessica Patterson, and I need to tell you the truth about who I really am. For the past 8 months, I've been living a lie. I don't work as a marketing executive. I don't come from money. The designer clothes, expensive dinners, and luxury lifestyle you've seen on my social media were all paid for with money I stole from my mother while she was in the hospital recovering from heart surgery. I took $200,000 from a woman who worked double shifts as a nurse for 25 years to save for retirement. I spent her life savings on a car, clothes, and experiences to impress people and maintain a fake image. I even researched ways to have her declared mentally incompetent, so I could steal more. My mother trusted me with her financial information when she got sick, and I betrayed that trust in the worst possible way. I am ashamed of what I've done, and I'm working to pay back every penny I can. If you've been following my success story, know that it was built on lies and theft from the woman who sacrificed everything to raise me.
I'm sorry, Mom.
I'm sorry to everyone I lied to. This is who I really am. I stared at the post for a long time. Part of me felt satisfied. Justice had been served. But another part of me, the part that remembered holding my baby girl for the first time, just felt empty. An hour later, Jessica knocked on my door. She looked terrible, no makeup, hair unwashed, wearing clothes I recognized from her high school wardrobe. The expensive facade was completely gone. I sold the car, she said quietly, holding out a cashier's check. $42,000. It's not everything, but it's what I could get. I took the check without a word. I also moved out of the apartment. I'm staying with my friend Claire, the real Claire, not one of the fake wealthy friends I was trying to impress. She knows everything now, and she's letting me sleep on her couch while I figure things out. We stood there in awkward silence for a moment. I got a job, Jessica continued. It's just waitressing, but it's honest work, and they're paying me daily. I can start sending you money every week. How much every week? I asked. $200. I know it's not much, but with the car money, that's about $60,000 total I can pay back over the next few years. It's not everything, but... It's not nearly everything, I interrupted. Jessica, you stole $200,000. Even if you pay me $200 a week for 5 years, that's only $52,000. Plus the $42,000 from the car. That's less than half of what you took. Her face crumpled. Mom, I know, but I can't do more than that and still survive. I have to eat, pay rent. You should have thought about that before you decided to steal from your mother. She was crying now, ugly tears that reminded me of when she was little and had broken something valuable. But this wasn't a lamp or a vase. This was my entire future. I'm still pressing charges, I said finally. Her head snapped up. But I confessed publicly. I'm paying you back. You're paying back less than half, Jessica. And more importantly, you need to face real consequences for what you did. Maybe if your father had stuck around to teach you about accountability, we wouldn't be here. But he didn't, and clearly I failed somewhere along the way. Over the next 2 weeks, the legal proceedings moved forward. Jessica was charged with financial exploitation of an elderly person, identity theft, and fraud. Her public defender tried to argue for leniency based on her confession and repayment efforts, but the judge wasn't impressed. Miss Patterson, the judge said during sentencing, you didn't just steal money. You violated the most sacred trust that exists, the trust between a parent and child. You planned to exploit your mother's illness and researched ways to take control of her entire life. This court sentences you to 18 months in county jail, with the possibility of work release after 6 months if you maintain steady employment and continue restitution payments. I sat in the courtroom gallery as Jessica was led away in handcuffs. She turned back once, mouthing, "I'm sorry," to me. I nodded but didn't respond. 3 months later, I received my first letter from her in jail. Mom, I know you probably won't read this, but I need to write it anyway. I've had a lot of time to think about what I did, and I finally understand how badly I hurt you. It wasn't just about the money, though I know how hard you worked for every penny. I stole your security, your trust, your ability to retire with dignity. I stole your faith in the daughter you raised. I can't undo what I did, but I want you to know that I'm getting help. There's a counselor here who's been working with me on understanding why I thought I needed to lie and steal to be worthy of love. She says I was trying to become someone I thought would finally be good enough, but I lost sight of who I actually was in the process. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to write back. But I want you to know that the daughter you raised, the real one, underneath all the lies, she's still here. And she's going to spend the rest of her life trying to make this right, even if it takes forever. I love you, Mom. I'm sorry I forgot how to show it in a way that didn't destroy everything. Jessica. I folded the letter and put it in my kitchen drawer with all the evidence I'd collected during those first terrible days. Maybe someday I'd be ready to write back. Maybe someday we'd find a way to rebuild something from the wreckage she'd created. But not today. Today, I had my own recovery to focus on. I'd gotten back about 60% of my stolen money through various legal channels: the car sale, the frozen property investment, and what Jessica would pay over time. It wasn't everything, but it was enough to maintain some dignity in my retirement. More importantly, I'd learned something about myself during this whole ordeal. I was stronger than I'd ever imagined. When someone tried to take advantage of my trust and vulnerability, I'd fought back with everything I had. I'd protected myself when no one else would. My daughter had tried to steal my money, my future, and my autonomy. Instead, she'd accidentally taught me that I was more resilient than either of us had ever known. As for Jessica, she'd learned the hardest lesson of all, that actions have consequences, and some betrayals can't be undone with an apology and a payment plan. Sometimes the people who love you the most are the ones who have to let you face the full weight of your choices. That's not cruelty. That's love tough enough to demand you become better than you were. And sometimes, when someone tries to destroy you, the best revenge is simply refusing to stay down.